Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. This is our Crypticon special. Vanessa, it would appear that you have picked up something gross and cruddy from the con.
Yeah, I don't know what it is yet. Lab results are spinning off right now, trying to calculate what it could possibly be. I am hopeful it's just a cold, but we'll find out.
Historically, there's a term that's been around for decades about going to conventions called con crud. So it's not unusual to catch something. So maybe it's not.
Oh yeah, and I have gotten the PAX box many times in the past in my life, so I am not. I'm not immune to that. I definitely didn't wear. I didn't have like the hand sanitizer going as much as I should have. Didn't wear my mask as much as I should have. So this is. We all know this is a possibility when we go to these conventions. That who knows? Who knows what will happen?
You know, what's funny is, I think that we've all gotten kind of lax in how we were washing our hands every 20 minutes and all that stuff. But maybe for conventions, we should be that strict again.
Try again, yeah.
I was so dumb after. I was like, what was I doing? Why? I really got loose about it. So.
Dun, dun, dun.
We should talk about it. So, let's give our thoughts, and then we're going to play our live episode that we recorded there at Crypticon. This was Crypticon-Seattle 2022, and this is our second live show there.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Fun.
And it was a nice audience again.
Yeah.
It was.
Better than Emerald City.
Yeah, that's true.
Really responsive and great. Yeah, great people who came and turned out. And I think fair amount of people who probably hadn't seen us before.
I think most.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Folks, but I think most of them were new. It's like, cool.
Yeah, so I showed up pretty early on Friday so that I could start writing. And I opened my iPad to start writing, and Eric sat down, and I was like, oh, thank God. So I closed it. And then right after that, Carlos said, hey, why don't you come up to the room and have a glass of wine with me? And so then by the time the actual con started, I was
good to go.
Yeah.
You were in such a good mood, Kelly. Oh my gosh. You were happy.
I realized that I really don't like these conventions very much, but I like hanging out with people I don't get to see very often. And I like hanging out with you guys. And I had a really great time hanging out with you. The only thing I was bummed about is that we didn't get to hang out with like Brian and Gwen from the Lovecraft Film Festival and stuff like we did last year. And our buddy Rick, who was staying home because he was sick and stuff like that, because that's literally why I go to any of these things.
And Matt was barely there, and Nick was at a different convention.
Yeah.
Although, there's still a lot of people. Of course, for me, it's a relatively different experience most of the time.
Right.
I'm running around doing the film festival, but I did have great help from a wonderful lady named Crystal and Carlos joined in, helping with the festival this year, run a few blocks. So I actually had some time to go to a panel or two, or actually get meals or drinks at some point in time. So
I think that this was a little bit of a truncated experience for me. Typically, I do a lot of the show floor and I walk around. And this time I really showed up in time for my panels and then would hang out with you guys, which I think was definitely the superior way of doing the convention for me. This is probably my fifth Crypticon, maybe more. So it was nice to just hang out with you guys, hang out with some of our friends, and then unfortunately ate something that was kind of like a lobster, kind of, on Saturday. Like I think I described it to you guys as like a lobster who was like smoking a pack a day is what it tastes like. So I wasn't feeling great the next morning. So I did bail on Sunday, but I also really liked the panels. I did my second year doing a editing panel, which was
that was neat.
Really neat. Yeah. So I deconstructed
Carrie.
Thank you. I kept wanting to say Christine. I was like, no, Carrie. Carrie versus Carrie, old Carrie versus new Carrie, and had a lot of people that I had no idea who they were really enthusiastic and showed up and like hung out and talked about it. And it was a really good crowd. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So
I was able to jump into that one for a few minutes, and boy, you're not just showing up and chatting stuff. There's a lot of work you put into putting on that particular panel, with having the video running, and so that was pretty cool. That's good.
Yeah, had the videos, had the trailers. Started giving them a little bit of a crash course on what different shot sizes mean psychologically. Why we break things down into different elements such as sound, music. The lighting, the costumes, the set, there's so many other pieces that when you start to deconstruct those, you can really start to take apart films and start to see what they're doing and how they're doing it. Yeah. So
that's pretty cool.
It was fun. It's really fun.
Also, they get a chance to visit with Jason Weiss just a little bit, at least. Not the only place I ever seem to see him anymore, unless we show up at some outside film thing. He's always a lot of fun to talk to. And
I saw him, Saturday night in the 13th floor.
There you go. And Joe Sherlock,
floor, of course, being the party floor where they take out all the furniture of all the rooms up there, and then just kind of trick or treat between all the parties.
Yeah, with what is it, karaoke and
that's right.
the VIP party, which even I'm not supposed to get into.
Oh,
I'm not paid to VIP. I just work for the convention.
Right.
Good for you.
And
I brought my I am con famous for I bring a portable bar to every panel that I'm on. It's a tiny little suitcase that has a bottle and 4 glasses, and I usually bring a nice bottle of scotch to share with whoever I'm paneling. And this year I bought a bottle of the Glenlivet 15, but then my very, very dear friend and one-time guest on this show, John O'Bannon, showed up.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen him in years, and we retired up to the room and broke out the Glenlivet 15. And then a few other friends showed up and all of this stuff. And I missed my panel that I was supposed to do with Tony. Sorry, Tony. This is why. The scotch that I was going to bring to our live show, we all drank up in the room beforehand. Drank an entire bottle of scotch.
It's fine. I wasn't going to have any anyway.
I know you weren't. I'm just saying, if I sound like I'm drunk, it's because I was drunk.
Yes, that is 100% accurate. I'm really going to look forward to. I mean, you were holding it pretty well together. I think you guys will hear in the episode, but I think you did a pretty good job of leading us through some pretty complex moments of talking about Big Trouble in Little China, despite it all.
Oh well, I appreciate that. I guess we'll all know when we hear it in just a few minutes. Any other things? Highlights of the con for you guys?
It was kind of neat to see Joe was back. Joe Sherlock was back. Had a booth this year, which he hasn't had for years, and he did fairly well and sold some really cool pens. Actually, little stick pens. They were fantastic.
I meant to grab one of those.
Yeah, I got to pick the whole setup.
Oh.
So that's always fun. Of course, Gwen and Stacy had their hot sauce. They were
Gwen and Brian, you mean?
I mean, Brian. Sorry. Gwen and Stacy. At least there's
Somebody's
a connection
got
there.
Spider-Man on the brain.
That's right. Yeah, Gwen and Brian. But which is pretty good. It is hot. It's got a nice little kick to it. The film festival, which I've got some involvement with, did fairly well this year. We had the Northwest Filmmakers Block, which runs most of Friday night. And that's usually our best attended evening because they're all local. So a lot of the filmmakers show up. We had something like, I don't know in the end how many really showed up. We had more than 70 filmmakers show up over the weekend.
Wow.
Conventions are weird. So there's always that Sunday, last thing on Sunday. It's like, well, let's put some good stuff up, see who shows up. We had like 20, 30 people watching that final hour. Like literally right up to, well, they actually went overtime on that. So they watched movies right till after the con ended.
Wow.
So that was great. Good audience, had a lot of fun, interaction. So that's most of my experience, obviously, is showing up, putting that stuff on and making sure that runs smoothly. But I did like chomp at the bit to get on one of the panels I went to, how Blu-ray box sets have changed watching movies in modern times. I want to talk about this. But so that was fun. That was fun to go to a panel. And then the front desk people were a lot of fun to work with this year. Again, Mickey was like, yeah, it was fun. I gave Kelly a whole bunch of crap early on. Why? Because she can.
Right. Mickey loves me.
Exactly. Yep. And then obviously the best part, like I said, with Jason and Joe and the Oregon folks and everybody, that's what's fun about doing that. There's a few people that you get to see every year, and seems to be the only place you see them, even if they're local. But that's part of what makes it so damn cool.
I had such a great time, like being, I think I was trying to find you guys to say goodbye on Saturday night and couldn't, but I did find Tony and I was like, Tony, have you seen them? And he's like, no. I was like, oh, I'm heading out. And he gave me a big hug. And then we proceeded to talk for another like 20 minutes. So, it's just such a nice opportunity to see a lot of these people that we don't get a chance to otherwise. And really.
Yeah, I got snubbed a little bit by drunk Tony on Friday night.
Oh,
maybe because you bailed.
I was sitting there in the sitting in the chairs, getting ready, wait for the final thing to start, for the midnight movie to start. And he walks by. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I say, "Hey, what's up?" Stops for like 30 seconds. Goes, "Hey, okay, I'm going back on the 13th floor." I was like, "Fine."
Not as cool as you thought you were, huh? Not so shiny now that you've been on the show.
I think I am. Yeah, that's not a problem. So, but no, wait, just kidding, Tony. We had a lot of good talking with him too, of course.
Yes, always a pleasure to see Tony. Well, okay, guys, should we wrap this up and play our live show?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Great to see everybody. We'll be back next week with a regular episode. Bye. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
That's Eric over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. We are recording live from Crypticon 2022. So that means you guys have to make some noise.
People are here. They're actually in the audience. There's proof.
Anybody here who was here last year for our live episode? Oh, okay. A couple of people.
Welcome back.
All right. Welcome back. Yes. Last year we talked about John Carpenter's The Thing. And this year we thought it would be kind of cool to focus on a different flop of John Carpenter's.
It's our favorite topic.
Yes.
Flops of John Carpenter.
So I'm going to set the stage a little bit here. After consistently overachieving with his films Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween especially, The Fog, John Carpenter is given a virtual blank check for his next movie, which is The Thing. After The Thing bombed at the theaters, Carpenter was taken off the movie he was in pre-production on, which was Firestarter. He and Bill Lancaster, who was the writer of The Thing, were hard at work on it, and it was just taken away from them completely. In its place, John was given Christine, the script of which was already written. And I don't know about you guys, but I think it's a fairly decent movie.
Yep.
But it's a simple movie. And is based on a Stephen King book, and King was already the best-selling horror author of all time, so it was a safe bet that the film would do well, and it did.
Can I just say, I don't know if love between man and a car is really a simple thing, but you know what? Fine. I won't go and die on a hill on that one.
I've had many a love affair with a car.
Kink shamer. Jeez, man.
So after that, Carpenter goes even more mainstream and he makes the movie Starman. Easily the most commercial film of his career, and it does well enough. It gets Jeff Bridges an Oscar nomination for Best Actor, and it is, in fact, the only Carpenter film to get an Oscar nod in any category. So he is now given another blank check, and he decides he's going to make Big Trouble in Little China.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there. It's a pretty amazing planet we live on here, and a man would have to be some kind of fool to think we're all alone in this universe.
There is a hidden world where ancient evil weaves a modern mystery.
What's going on here? Is this some kind of
magic? The darkest magic.
They call it Little China.
Finally, we shall bring order out of chaos.
It's where Big Trouble was waiting for Jack Burton.
Who? Jack Burton. Me.
Jack?
They told him to go to hell.
You make one move.
And that's just where he's going.
Somebody, I don't care who, tell me what is going on.
How are you going to spring us?
I have no idea. There are many mysteries, many unanswerable questions, even in a life as short as yours.
My destiny rests in your capable hands.
Hey, I'll do my best.
Oh, God, is this really happening?
This is gonna take Cracker Jack timing, Wang. 1, 2, 3. We may be trapped.
Total concentration.
Safety. Oh, yeah.
You ready, Jack?
I was born ready.
Way to go, Jack.
Jack Burton's coming to rescue your summer.
Hey, what more can a guy ask for?
20th Century Fox presents Kurt Russell in John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China.
It's all in the reflexes.
It goes very well for him. There is 0% any problems whatsoever in any capacity along the entire way of production.
The end.
And release.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
So he was aware of the original script, which had been bouncing around Hollywood for years when it was written as a fantasy Western. And the hero's name was Wiley Prescott.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh my God.
He didn't love that version.
Sure.
And even though the studio had bought the script, they weren't exactly sure what to do with it. So they brought in W.D. Richter, who had directed the flop Buckaroo Banzai, which is a big favorite of mine also. He came in to rewrite it, and he thought that asking the audience to buy into all of this Asian mysticism on top of a period piece was just a little too much and suggested it get moved into a modern setting. And the studio said, that sounds great and much less expensive. So let's do that. Also, as a side note, there's a ton of buzz at this time about a film called The Golden Child that Paramount is developing. And Hollywood in general is going crazy for Asian culture. So 20th Century Fox thinks they've made a very smart decision by giving this fast-working, mostly dependable director the chance to get their mystic Asian film out first. And as a side note, on that side note, The Golden Child was offered to John Carpenter earlier, and he passed on it, which was before Eddie Murphy was attached to it.
Wow.
So Carpenter gets $25 million and gets to work on this big budget Hollywood kung fu film. I want to talk to you guys about your thoughts on this, and especially you, Vanessa, because you came to this movie late.
Really late. So late.
Talk to me about it, because Vanessa is our John Carpenter expert.
Super fan.
Yeah.
Obsessy. Slight problems, not in therapy, never going to join therapy for it. Very happy with my issues.
Like our last episode on Midnight Movie, she did Dark Star.
because it's incredible. And man, if you're just there for a cool trip, that is a great ride. So this movie was really weird for me because I came into horror movies and overall, in general, very late. I hated them until I got to college and felt like I kind of ran out of movies to see. And I sort of kept predicting all the plots, and I'd sit down in the first 5 minutes of any movie. My friends wanted to kill me because I was like, oh, well, he's going to do this, she's going to do that, and then they're going to end this way. And it would happen. And so I was like, I'm going to dip my toes into horror. And of course, that eventually led to Carpenter. And that eventually led to a bunch of people saying, you haven't seen Big Trouble in Little China? And I went to a theater screening. I think it was playing at SIF Uptown or something like that. And I went in completely cold, did not know. I think it was maybe one of the earlier Carpenter movies that I was watching at this point. So I had no frame of reference of what his style was. And everyone there was like quoting it and like having a rompous good time and remembering their childhood, watching it on, cable or whatever on VHS. And I was like, I don't know what is happening. This movie is weird. I'm so confused. And then I did not watch it again until yesterday.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, you know what? Of course, now I've seen all the other John Carpenter movies quite a few times. And it was really nice to go back in again, knowing him a little better, understanding the sort of situation and the frame of reference and his actors and his style and how much this is and isn't his style all at once. And man, this is some Fast and Furious writing. It's an incredible joyride of just weird, hi, I believe in the law. The law is great. My name is Gracie Law. Like, okay, cool. Sounds good.
What about you, Eric? When did you see this?
When did I first see it? Boy, when it came out. I didn't see it in the theater,
okay.
No, but I did see it on video, rental. How can a teen age, probably close, pass up a movie that looks like that cover with that stuff, and you see the trailers and the guys with the strange hats and the stuff flying around and Kurt Russell doing his best John Wayne. I'm like going, okay, I'll see this one. But oddly enough, I did not watch it for a very long time. I have the Shout Factory collection with the little 45 RPM.
Me too.
Oh, wow. You have that?
Yeah. And hadn't even watched that yet. Like, us Blu-ray collectors are kind of stupid that way.
Were you also surprised there was a steelbook inside?
I did not order the steelbook version.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I am now the loser. But I think it's a really fun movie. It obviously appeals greatly to teenage sensibilities of a kid because it's so ridiculous and over the top, and you have no problem going with it. It gets you see more when you get older. Like I'm watching, going, "Holy shit! This is a reversal of hero and sidekick."
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like Kurt Russell thinks he's the hero of his movies, but he's actually the sidekick in this film. And when I was watching this earlier this week, I was like, there's a lot going on in this movie that I know I missed the first time watching it.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. I did see it in the theaters. I was 17 when this came out. And I think I was probably just starting to develop my own personal sense of humor, which was a lot of Monty Python and stuff like that.
Oh,
and
no, you were one of those.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, there's
Lord.
two of us here.
No.
And I remember liking the movie, but I didn't love it, mostly because I wasn't sure that I got it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until actually graduating from film school that I went back and watched it again. And I realized, oh my God, there is 100% a hero's journey story going on here on screen. And it's Wang.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's so good at everything he does.
Everything
he's got
that happens there, he is, he's refusing the call. And then he has his own personal mid-act to reversal and all of the stuff that happens there. And I was like, wow, this is really masterful, surprisingly good writing.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, you still have those cues that Kurt Russell is somehow the hero because he just talks so loud and the camera keeps showing us him, but everything he says and does tells you he is the sidekick, which makes it even more complex to showcase that kind of, okay, we're going to follow the sidekick who thinks he's the hero, and we're going to film it in a way where he's the hero, but he does all the dumb stuff. So we're going to show a close-up on him when he gets knocked unconscious during the big final battle and just lays there and then tries to stab a guy and can't get him off him for like 10 minutes. Very cool. Very, very cool.
I love that. I mean, they say that we are all the hero of our own story.
Sure.
And Jack Burton is definitely the hero of his own story. When we first meet him, he's literally narrating the story, his story, in the third person and mythologizing himself.
To no one in particular. To the other poor truckers out there who are like probably trying to turn off their CB. Like, could he stop? This guy is so weird.
And when the shit hits the fan, he accepts a call to action that was never given to him. He's kind of like, I'm ready for this. And it was like, this isn't even your fight. Why are you here?
He wants his money, I guess, and then just keeps hanging out with Wang, which is very nice of him. He's a good friend, I guess.
Yeah. I love that he is mostly inept at everything he does in the film and how proud he is of everything he also does. So what would you guys say if I told you that Carpenter didn't want Kurt Russell?
I would say you are lying. You're lying so hard.
He wanted Clint Eastwood.
He wanted Clint Eastwood?
Yeah. He always wanted Clint Eastwood. John Carpenter has always wanted to work with Clint Eastwood, and he thought that this was the movie. What do you think about that?
I think there's no way in hell Clint Eastwood's doing this movie.
I'm just surprised because I saw like 3 different behind the scenes commentaries where everyone was very much in agreement that, man, that Kurt Russell was perfect for this. And I was really telling the studio that Kurt should be in it, and the studio wanted him and Kurt wanted it, and then kept reading weird things like Kurt actually was trying to improve his career at this point and was a little hesitant. And then the studio actually maybe wanted Jack Nicholson and this other person.
Jack Nicholson was another name they tossed about. I think that Jack Nicholson maybe gets the humor of this character and not quite the action of this character. And I think that Clint maybe gets the action of this character and not quite the humor.
So then you get Kurt Russell. Combine the best of both worlds.
Right. Well, it wasn't just Carpenter that wanted Clint. The studio was like, yeah, if you can get Clint in this, we would love that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Clint passed on it and Jack Nicholson passed on it.
Yes.
It was actually the studio that brings up Kurt Russell next.
Oh, interesting.
And Carpenter's like, I don't think Kurt would be interested in this.
Yeah. And it sounded like Kurt wasn't 100% sure either. Like he read the script and was a little like, I'm not sure who this character is. But I mean, he's so perfect.
Yeah. Once you've seen him, he's embodied it. It's done.
Yeah.
It's hard to picture anybody else in that role. That's true of a lot of roles, but I couldn't imagine. Clint Eastwood would be really weird in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do know that Kurt Russell wasn't as big of a star at this point.
Right.
And when they started doing marketing, Kurt Russell was really surprised to see himself front and center on all the posters because he was like, my star power can't sell this movie, guys. Like, what are you doing?
And he was right.
He was right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Also, he wasn't sure he could do it. And he was juggling 2 scripts at the time and trying to figure out what he would do next. The other script was a movie called Highlander.
Oh, shit.
I did read that.
Yeah. That would have been that. Wow.
And it was Goldie Hawn. It was Goldie Hawn who said, I don't think Highlander is for you.
Goldie.
No, I'm going to go with her on that one.
I mean, Highlander also a massive flop when it came out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel fine about
So
that.
it was a Kurt Russell vehicle then. That's okay. Journeyman actor, man. He's not. I mean, he's high level journeyman actor, but he's never been a Tom Cruise open a movie at $50 million kind of guy. But
No.
we all love him. I hope. I know I do.
So I rewatched it this week in preparation for this, and I was really struck because I hadn't seen it in a while, and I remember, kind of liking it, but not sure. And I was like, I just know this is going to be a white savior story once I watch it again.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, the only person who can't do anything right in this film is the white guy.
Yep.
Yes.
Everybody else is so much more capable than Jack Burton.
Absolutely. Yeah. It has a really strong Asian cast. I mean, they're doing incredible action work. They're doing incredible acting work. I mean, it is a very 80s Chinatown story with a lot of that kung fu humor that and unfortunately weird mysticism that's like brought in. And it works without him. It would be a less funny story, but it would still be a solid story.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember reading reviews, and I'm not sure how I felt originally, but the reviews were really latching onto the effects and saying how the effects were really shoddy, and the effect company was, sleepwalking through this movie. And I was looking back on this thinking, boy, any effects company should be pretty proud of the effects in this movie, especially the stop motion stuff.
Oh yeah,
and the floating eyeball thing, all of that stuff. I was like, oh, these are amazing effects.
No, they're really good. And wasn't it the Richard Edlund who had just done not just done, but had originally been on Star Wars with ILM, and then he had done Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So, like, what are they talking about?
Yeah,
it's incredible.
This wasn't like the end of Hellraiser. These are good optical effects.
I also feel like I know
what
why we are now as, a humanity and as a planet out of neon. I feel like this film consumed a huge amount of it.
I blame Joel Schumacher for that.
Oh, well, this is prior to that, but there is a weird thing where he is trying to meld modern day Hollywood, which I guess is neon, with the kung fu movies of the 70s that he loved. So yeah, there is a lot of stuff that I will agree does not work, but I think overall the film is just an absolute blast. I had so much fun on this rewatch.
Yeah, I liked it a lot more than I was expecting to, because it's just one of these, you go, are you sure? Okay, let's go for it.
Right. So yeah, like I was saying, it had every opportunity to feel very racist, and I thought it was just the three Caucasian actors who were made to look ridiculous throughout the movie, and it's kind of extraordinary given the time frame this was written in and shot in.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the cast. Dennis Dunn as Wang. He's our actual hero, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
He's handsome. He's very capable.
He has the perfect love story where he has been waiting his whole life for this beautiful girl, his childhood sweetheart, to come overseas from China. He's paid for her trip. She shows up and is kidnapped by a gang and then kind of re-kidnapped again by a weird ghost god situation going on to fulfill some kind of destiny, and he is there to go and save the girl.
Yeah. There was one question bringing up the ghost destiny thing that I'm curious if I just missed an answer to it, but why does a guy who's living immortal want to become vulnerable to getting killed so easily?
It's so confusing because he is kind of mortal and he's like all old and messed up mortal, but he can like ghost hop. But then if he becomes human, he gets to be like young, virile human. But then eventually he's going to be like old, decrepit, but without like the ghost powers. So I don't really understand the benefit either.
Okay. Just that vampire thing, I guess, I'm tired of living. Just going to go out into the sun. But before I do that, I'm going to whine about it for about 4 books.
sounds very
When you
accurate.
talk about her getting kidnapped, I love the Lords of Death.
Yeah.
And the sunglasses.
Yes.
That the one guy is wearing.
Okay. No assumptions on age in here, but in the 80s, I never wore glasses like that. I didn't know anybody who wore glasses like that. Did anybody outside of a weird gang in a movie wear those weird ass solid plastic with little slits in the middle of them?
Kanye at some point, I believe, wore them again.
Shogun Shonuff in The Last Dragon wore those.
Oh, there you go.
Didn't one of the Back to the Future bullies in the future
Probably.
wear
I believe
those?
he did. One of the background guys.
I don't know. I just love them. I was like, where is this going? there's a real disconnect to watching people wait for other people to get off a plane. Now that we are no longer allowed to do that.
I was also like, was this common? Like you would just go to the airport and watch people get off and then go, I'm going to kidnap these 3 girls. Hold on, get out of the way, everybody.
I certainly remember being able to wait for loved ones, but these guys all had guns and everything on them. So I was like, oh, it's much less security back then. James Hong as Lopan.
He's all right.
Yeah. Beloved and is in every movie ever made. Still working at the age of 93 and just got a star on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Very justified.
Yeah.
Also, 453 credits.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's incredible. I was like, hold on. Yep. Nope. Absolutely. He was basically in every single TV show ever as a walk-on role. I was just scrolling through like, how did you? Oh, I see now.
Yeah. I was a little surprised. Al Leong, is that how you say his name? The guy, the long-haired guy?
Okay.
You'll all know him as the guy who ate the candy bar in Die Hard. I thought he was in a crap load more movies than he is. He's got like 75 credits or something.
Oh, all from 1983 and 1985?
Yes. But he's great. He's always fun to see show up in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is just so fantastic in this. Speaking of James, I was really surprised to see him just recently in Everything Everywhere All at Once, but not surprised to see his name. But has anybody seen this movie? Oh, it's really spectacular.
So good.
It's a major part, and he does a lot in it. I was like, I thought he'd be, a small part.
Oh, nice.
Nope. He's definitely, everybody in that film is just, I feel like they all kind of own their roles, and he very much does. He's like in a wheelchair most of the time, right? Until he isn't.
Until he isn't. Victor Wong, of course, as Egg Shen.
What a sweetheart.
Right?
What an absolute sweetheart.
Yeah, the highlight of the film for me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure. Like, and he's the second scene that we see, or is he the first scene that we see?
He's doing that tacked on interrogation.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. That really, really dumb scene. Yes, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then as the tourist driver and he just kills it. He absolutely kills it.
Yeah, he follows this in with Prince of Darkness. He goes on to Tremors and a ton of other films.
He's also in The Golden Child.
And, a lot of these actors are in The Golden Child, which says something about Hollywood's casting. He passed away, sadly, in 2001. I love just everything about him and all of his scenes. In fact, yesterday, going up in the elevator while I was a little tipsy, you guys may recall, standing next to someone I didn't know at all, and I just said, feeling kind of invincible.
Oh my God.
And he started cracking up. So he knew what I was talking about.
Oh, nice.
Or he just thought this weird drunk guy in the elevator saying odd shit to me.
He's funny. Laugh or something happened.
It's a glass elevator with very little escape. Like, I don't know that laugh was really as intended as you thought it was.
And finally, let's mention Kim Cattrall, who I think is gorgeous and perfect in this movie.
Yeah, she's great.
I didn't realize what kinds of content she had been in before this, because I didn't realize she was in Police Academy or Porky's or any of that. I just knew her from being in Star Trek 6.
Oh, geez, of course. Yeah, they had a hard... She was also not really wanted to be cast in this film. They fought against her because of her roles as in Porky's and stuff, and thought, well, she's just sort of this one kind of character.
Yeah.
But no, she's great. She's really
good. She's channeling kind of a Katharine Hepburn.
Oh, yeah.
With her the snappy dialogue and all that stuff. Did you know that the role was originally, the studio was pushing for somebody like Madonna to be in it? They wanted a music video, female musician that they could kind of push the movie forward that way.
That's very 80s.
Can you imagine Madonna in this?
Not at all, because she's so funny and quick and like playing dumb and smart at the same time. Like dumb, but we know that there's just some kind of doubling that's happening that she's pulling off so beautifully. And I don't think anyone who's not actually an actress would of that level.
Well, then also their interactions, like you're talking about the snappy dialogue with Kurt Russell and her, that's about the smartest parts of the film for him. That's where he's kind of smart. They go back and forth with that wonderful
Like banter.
Yeah, and it's just smooth and easy and sounds cool. You know, you don't always get to. There's, I think there's too much emphasis put by a lot of people on movies to be real. This needs to be realistic. Oh, screw that, man. Give me that flowery, over the top Maltese Falcon kind of script, and I friggin' love it.
Yeah, I mean, when you've been hearing how this was a movie where Kurt Russell plays the sidekick, you know, you've been hearing that for years, and I wasn't sure that I actually believed it until I rewatched it again, and I was like, oh, this is all on purpose. The scene where they're all talking in the office, and he's like, I'm feeling a little bit like an outsider here, and she says, you are. And I was like, this is all written in there to be exactly what they have been saying it was. I think that it's finally being appreciated for now.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah. All right. So I know that I want to talk with you guys about a lot of stuff, but let's just kind of wrap up the whole part of the movie here. The film comes out. It grosses $11 million against its $25 million budget.
Ouch.
It opened 12th on its opening weekend, behind Psycho 3, The Great Mouse Detective, About Last Night, and Under the Cherry Moon.
Oh, jeez.
And it is out of theaters within 3 weeks.
Wow.
It's so sad because it ends up having such a huge following. Obviously, the people who wanted to see it were out there and were seeing movies like it, but they just didn't know it was there until it went on to VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of movies like that. They find their crowd later on. They do terrible in the movies and then find their crowd. Or the other side of that coin is a movie like Blair Witch, which was so well promoted that it was huge. This goes back to, because I was working at Suncoast at the time when it came out, they bought that deep and it just sat there. Nobody bought it. Because that one was like the opposite. Now, Big Trouble in Little China sold all the time. That was in store, would sell. Because it's fun, it's action-packed, it does something interesting and different. It found its audience based on the content of the film as opposed to the content of the advertising.
Well, and what's interesting too about the advertising, because I was reading all of these different things about how it wasn't advertised very well and this and that. And then I found this interview with Kurt Russell where he gets like really conspiracy theory about it. And he's like, oh yeah, I knew a guy. He was in the room at the time, right when they decided to bomb it. He was there. He quit that day because of how much they screwed us over. I knew a guy. I'm not going to name him. I was like, whoa, what is this?
I remember reading or listening to an interview with Kurt, and he was saying at the time he had friends that would be like, don't you have a movie coming out pretty soon? And he goes, it's coming out Friday. And just nobody even knew about this. I had also heard something about how, I think this was this 20th Century Fox that did this, or it was not Paramount? I know that.
20th Century Fox, correct.
That they had just a flat $3 million that was spent on advertising for every film at the time. And I mean, you know, compare that now to, you know, if you've got a Marvel movie coming out that costs $600 million, they've spent $100 million on advertising.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I did hear from, I think it was that same interview. He said that 3 days ahead, this was part of their campaign. 3 days before it went out, there was like a picture of him on the poster and it says, who is this man? 2 days before it says, where can you find him? And like, that was kind of he's like, I have no star power. No one cares. This is a really weird marketing strategy. I don't know what on day one it said, but he said, yeah, his friends had no idea where to find him. He didn't know where to find him. It wasn't any of the newspapers. It wasn't being printed like, you know, what times, where you can go and see this movie. So.
Wow.
Yeah, they showed it for advanced audiences and it scored, you know, off the hook. It was so high scoring. And in this one interview I picked up, it says, this is a quote from Kurt Russell. He says, a lot of people on the press junket for the film said, how does it feel to be in a movie that you know is going to be a massive hit? And I would be falsely humble and say, well, hey, you never know. You just got to see how it does. But inside I was going, yeah, I'm so happy. And then it came out.
But come on, with taglines like this, how could it fail? Adventure doesn't come any bigger. That is detailed. You know exactly what you're going to watch.
Adventure doesn't come any bigger than Big Trouble in Little China.
No, just any bigger. Done.
Okay.
Or a reference to the movie that you'll get if you've seen it, but you're not going to read this on the poster and go, oh, it's all in the reflexes.
Right.
Oh.
I get that, but you're walking by the movie going, okay. Try to find a big reason before you visit World of Magic.
Oof.
I don't know what the hell that means.
That one's horrible.
Jack Burton's in for some serious trouble, and you're in for some serious fun. Tonight,
you gotta say that with you gotta say that with the real voice. Jack Burton's in for some serious trouble, and you're in for some serious fun.
That's right. And the final one that I found: a mystical action adventure comedy kung fu monster ghost story.
Accurate.
This might have been the problem.
Yes. Yeah.
They didn't really know how to market it. They weren't sure what they were doing, and then they couldn't push one of those things strongly enough. So that's probably what was turning audiences off. And like I said, I wasn't even sure how I felt about it afterwards.
Yeah.
I liked it, but let's see, 86. So I'm 17. I've already seen The Thing, and I think it's the coolest thing around. Escape from New York. Stuff like that. I'm just like, God, I'm so looking forward to another Kurt Russell, John Carpenter movie. And it was weird.
It's really weird. Even his costume is actually pretty weird. I don't know. Those shoes do not exist on Earth. They are hideous and weird.
It's sort of like the compliment to his hat from The Thing.
Oh, God.
And the boots from Big Trouble. He needs something he can wear both of those in.
Oh, God.
Those boots were supplied by Kurt Russell himself. He had those made from a tailor, I think, in Aspen, Colorado.
No.
And in another interview, he was saying that he had brought Wyatt to the same guy, and they had some boots made for him. So
no, not okay. Nothing about that is okay. If you're gonna have like an attractive up and coming star who, some girls maybe you'll get some fans of Disney movies out of, like, don't throw hideous costuming on him. To do something. His hair was good.
But Kurt Russell's hair is always good.
I know, it's great.
I was always confused by the three elements and not a fourth element.
Well, and also the elements, like, I was trying to write down what the elements were when they showed up, and I was like, lightning. And the second one came in, I was like, lightning? And the third one came in, I was like, lightning. And then later read like rain, thunder, and lightning.
Yeah,
right.
Yep, they're all storms.
So just, storm elements, I guess.
Yeah, it is very confusing. Although, of course, it then brought forth the wonderful Raiden from Mortal Kombat. So I'm not mad about that.
No.
That works.
Great character.
I love the costume designs, and I really was blown away watching it this last time. Just the set design, not of like these amazing underground sets or anything, but the gorgeous set of the Japanese whorehouse that he walks into undercover with his glasses and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so meticulous, the sets in there. I was like, wow, this is really, you see all $25 million of that budget on screen.
Yeah, absolutely. The sets are incredible between that and is it like little golden Buddha statues that are, maybe I'm wrong, that are lining all the way up that thin. Yeah. And then, of course, you do have the underground sets, and then you have the big neon set, which almost looks like a shopping mall that they took over a floor of. It just, between the elevator
escalator
and
in it.
Yeah, totally. No need. Who knows why there's an escalator. Then you've got the streets sets and the different little rooms that they're in, and the truck and the bus. There is a lot of money being thrown up onto screen through those pieces.
I kind of hate that set with the skull and the escalator and the
It's
neon.
very random.
Yeah.
It feels extremely random. I'm like, what is this? Why did you make this room? Is this your like wedding room? Like you plan this out ahead? Or is this like your meeting room that you can occasionally just zazz up for special events? Like, what is this?
Then I also love how at the very end, there's so much to love at the very end. When Kate Burton the actress asks Jack Burton, the character, because I
Yeah.
can't remember Kate Burton's character's name. She says, "You're not even going to kiss her?" And they do a shot of Kim Cattrall where she is so stunningly beautiful that it's like the perfect shot on something for him to say, "Nope."
Goodbye.
And he carries his money out in saddlebags.
Yeah.
I was
Western.
like, this is the Western stuff still coming in.
Yep.
Well, one interesting thing I also read about with the Western is originally in the script, it was the horse that gets stolen, and then they just interchanged that for his truck,
Yes.
which I think is
right.
so beautiful. That's such good writing. But yeah, sometimes you just got to say no to Kim. Just sometimes he knew it wasn't going to work. He had to get out of there while the getting was good.
Impossible.
Got to go tell his CB buddies about what had been going on.
Impossible.
You just
All
watch
right,
out for the weather.
I've gone through all the stuff I wanted to talk to you guys about. I know that you guys have brought some other notes.
Well, what do you think about the proposed Dwayne Johnson
Yeah,
the remake.
I was gonna
sequel?
bring that up at the end. I don't think that's still on, is
No,
it?
I don't
Well,
think it is.
I don't know. It's a little vague because he started talking about it in 2015, and then they were still talking about it in 2018, and then COVID. So I'm like, I wonder if they're still thinking about that. Boom also made a huge push between a comic book series that came out, and then in 2016 they put out the game.
Tabletop game.
Yeah,
Tabletop
tabletop.
game. Thank you. They also had action figures for Funko that came out. I feel like it's very much back in the air. So it would make sense that they're still thinking about a film.
I'm just not sure that The Rock is the right guy for something like this.
He's way too.
As
I don't
much as
think he'd be
as much as
starring
I
in
like
it.
him, and I think he's got a good sense of humor, I don't think he's okay with making himself look as foolish as Kurt Russell is.
From my understanding, he
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
be in it. He'd be producing
Tooth
it.
Fairy.
Oh boy.
Well, Carpenter's thought on it was, it's very early in the process. I haven't spoken to Dwayne Johnson about any of this. I'm ambivalent about a remake. So
Yeah.
that's kind of that last part, I think John Carpenter says about anything but touring with his music right now.
He's so happy to just be cashing a check every time
Yeah.
these people talk about this stuff.
Yep.
So
Hmm. Well, I think what there is time for, it is at least time for, would be a new version of the video game. There was a
Oh,
video
yeah.
game that came out for it
Yep.
for the Commodore 64
oh
to mixed reviews. So I would love to play an updated version if
Well,
available.
there was an NES game that was released at one point too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I gotta check that out. That
Yep.
did not come up on my Wikipedia search, shockingly.
Or you
So-
could do the deck building game from Upper Deck. There's all kinds. It's weird how much shit now gets produced for films that are 30, 40 years old. Even I'm not complaining.
I
but-
mean, somebody's buying it.
Yeah.
So
I picked up a lot of those Boom comic books, and
were they any good? Because I did too, but I haven't gotten to them yet.
they weren't very good.
No.
And I felt like they missed the humor, and I felt like the art was just a little off. And I don't know. There was something about it that I think that it just proves what a strange product this is, and that it's
Yeah.
impossible to really put it into any one thing and make it work.
Well, isn't it Boom that drops all their money into licensing and then doesn't pay any artists or writers to put together a good comic book most of the time?
Boy,
Really?
I don't know about that. but-
They did a pretty good Buffy series, but I don't want to get too far into that.
And then even I think it was Boom that put out the making of the movie books and the art of the movie. And I picked both of those up, and both of them were very disappointing as far as making of books go.
What about the crossover comic they did with Escape from New York?
I think I had given up before that.
Okay. I do know that there's a crossover with Snake Plissken there. So you can see Kurt Russell meets Kurt Russell in extreme characters of very opposite
Well,
ends of the spectrum.
Come on, let's not forget the 23rd episode of the second season of the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
It's so good.
TV series had a Chinatown ghost story.
This episode is so good. I
And
can't
you know
even. It's amazing. It does a great job. And you also have Lo Pan essentially returning. So, and James Hong does voice him. Yeah, and
What?
he's Ho Chan. The Storm figures show back up. I mean, it is an awesome episode, but I also love that series of the Ninja Turtles. So
I am going to have to search that out.
it's from the Nickelodeon 2012 version. Yeah, that came out.
2012. Yeah.
Super good. Super good. But a lot of people, I guess, have been doing kind of homage episodes. I think that I read that Rick and Morty had an episode that was a little bit of a nod towards it. Also, Marvel has some influence that they've stolen from this movie, including the character of the Mandarin was apparently modeled after the appearance of Lo Pan. And also
Mandarin a lot older than Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
No. The new movie appearance when he was in Iron Man 3 or whatever.
Oh.
I don't know. Okay. I just read it. I can't tell you whether or not it's super factual. And then Taika Waititi said that he was heavily influenced from this movie when writing Thor Ragnarok, which I can see a little bit of, like that sort of like really knowing humor of watching Thor just kind of spin around at the start there. I can get those vibes.
Oh yeah.
I think that's funny you mentioned that because I would say that Chris Pratt has made a living out of being Jack Burton in just about every movie he's in.
I guess Chris Pratt. Probably. You're
for sure.
You're not wrong.
For sure, Star-Lord is Jack Burton.
Yeah, and actually, when playing the most recent Guardians video game, I had a lot of watching this movie, I had a lot of similar feels of like, okay, you're playing as these like doofuses who are on this mission and they're wildly messing up. And it does feel very samey in some positive ways. Good game. For those of you who have any interest in playing video games whatsoever.
What else?
I don't know, man.
All right. I mean,
aren't you the host?
I do have a couple of things here, but I wanted to save them for the very end. So if you've got other notes.
Oh, the very end. Let's see. We're getting close. 45 minutes in here.
I mean, you can always do that, and then we could open it up to Q&A.
We could do that. Well, okay, I'll say this. So the movie flopped, massively flopped. Currently, though, 75% rating from the Rotten Tomatoes critics. Audience has it at 82%. So, this has become a beloved film. By the way, The Golden Child.
Not a very good movie.
It also had a $25 million budget. Grossed $80 million.
Wow.
Has a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 22%.
Whoa. And that was a Christmas movie. So in fairness, they put it out at exactly the time that people were like, I don't know, we just went shopping and we're tired. Let's go see this Eddie Murphy flick.
Well, yeah, and Eddie Murphy was a name. Eddie Murphy opened movies at that time.
Biggest star in the world at the time.
Yeah. So that was going to be a hit, no matter how bad it was, and it was not very good at all. So
yeah, that is the real problem. Carpenter turns it down, and then he decides to make a much better, smarter movie, and The Golden Child comes up and still mops the floor with.
Yeah, and I mean, I do kind of understand partly why the studio was a little. I mean, obviously, it's a confusing film to figure out how to market, but they did ask for Indiana Jones, and they did not get Indiana Jones. This movie is very far removed because they liked the sense of the humor and they liked the script, and then they saw the movie and they did not like that version of the sense of humor and that version of the script. So, like you said before, I think it was probably a little bit hard to market, and I don't know what time of year. I mean, this came out around the time of Aliens too, right?
Same year.
So that was part of the problem.
It was actually a really big year for films, and this just did not stand up to all of those other films. So, should we open this up? Are there any questions, comments?
Thoughts about Big Trouble?
Yes, sir.
That returned to its roots as a Western.
I know that the original writers want that, but they feel that their chance was in 1986 and it's not going to happen again. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm all for that. I'm not sure that Westerns are a big thing right now.
Westerns goes up and down. You get Tombstone or Young Guns or something every couple of years. Then 2 or 3 Westerns follow whatever that hit is and fail miserably. So,
I mean, we had a very short stint with Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Like we had the small, like indie, super indie westerns that were popping up, and you had a couple of big names like Clint Eastwood and also Arnie, like coming in movies that felt westerny and had like western edges to them. But
well,
yeah,
had,
I think the
Unforgiven
western
in there, but that's another one of those. It's like
that was
here it is,
pretty
huge
big.
hit, everything falls.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That question,
maybe it'll be a huge hit if they do it.
That question brings up the weird opening titles where it is written by the two original writers, which I don't have down here, but it is then adapted by W.D. Richter.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so rare to see anything like that because he did a total rewrite on it. And then...
Well, apparently they were, the studio is going to strip their names from it entirely. Didn't want to give them any credit whatsoever. And I believe that WD had like kind of talked to them and had a little bit of a rapport and had said something along the lines of, look, I'm going to do this rewrite. And they're like, please don't. And he said, yeah, but if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it. So I might as well be the one to do it. And I think he actually fought to have his title be adapted by.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was, come on, we're talking about Gary Goldman, the writer of Navy SEALs.
Okay. All right.
And David Weinstein. Unfortunate last name.
Really unfortunate. Not that one. Not that Weinstein. And he's only done this.
Yeah, this is his only credit.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. Something that actually came up in a panel that I was on yesterday. Westerns may have been replaced at this point by post-disaster wasteland films. Oh. So movies where you have like Walking Dead, right? Like where the world is not what it was and you have an opportunity to kind of do whatever you want within it. There's no rules, there's no laws. That might have actually been circumvented by disaster cinema and TVs.
I thought you were going to say Marvel, because Marvel circumvented everything.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, also Marvel. Absolutely. Absolutely also Marvel and also things like space westerns. And so Star Wars and Guardians they're all doing the Lord's work.
Any other questions? Yes.
Y'all verbatim recite the ending monologue?
The ending or the starting?
I can do the monologue on that guy's shirt.
If you read it.
If he stands up.
I cannot, but I will say that a student of mine, I teach over at Seattle Central a couple days a week, and a student of mine, I gave them a monologue challenge, and he did the opening monologue. And he did like a fake like CGI like truck setup and everything. I was like, oh, bless you.
I had it on his voicemail for the longest time. He just always recited it.
Nice.
Oh my God. Having it as a voicemail message, I mean, and forcing everyone to just sit there and wait it out. Beautiful. Oh, I want to Facebook friend your uncle. This man sounds incredible.
Anything else?
Well, we'll take a moment here to explain a little bit more what Strange Eons Radio normally is. We get together to do a talk each week based on a subject. We pick just a strange subject like pizza in a movie.
Yes.
Or Midnight Movie. Or what is a recent one you've done? Oh, Nick Cage.
Nicolas Cage movies, yeah.
And that's Oscar. Sorry, he does shit too. But and then we each pick one and we go watch it. We'll spend the first half of our podcast just talking about whatever we've been watching recently, what TV shows or movies or weird shit we have going on in our life, usually in his life. The man leaves an interesting life. But and then we will discuss. Each talk about the individual films we've got. So it's sort of a version of what we did here. It's just one of us would talk about
that
Big
movie.
Trouble and somebody else would do The Thing, or then we'd do Starman if we're all doing Carpenter or something. So we present a very different kind of feel, but that wouldn't work here. We tried. Just like we'd like to talk about one thing, have some fun with it, and generally pick a film we think or hope most everybody has seen. I mean, The Thing was easy. We knew everybody had seen The Thing when we recorded at Crypticon.
Right.
Yeah. And this is how we do live shows. We did one for Emerald City this year. We were fortunate enough to do that. And this is our third or fourth. You guys had a show before I existed in your lives.
Before you existed?
I'm pretty sure you did a live version.
How old are you?
I don't want to discuss it.
Wow.
I was magicked upon this planet, and now I am here as part of your show. What more do you need to know?
Anyway, grab me one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we've got enough for everybody here. If you're interested, we've got these little challenge coins things with. Here, I'll make you read it this time. What's Tesla say on the back, or should I have Vanessa read?
Yeah, these are amazing. First of all, it has a picture of our logo on one side, and these are nice, heavy-duty challenge coins. And then a picture of Nikola Tesla on the other side, and it says, "One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane."
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes,
So,
very limited amounts of these left.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
If you want one of these, come up and grab it.
Yep,
Yeah.
I've got more in the case than are just sitting there on the table.
And definitely feel free to check out our podcast. And if you want to listen to the podcast you were here for, my God.
Oh, my God.
It'll be
It'd
posting
fantastic.
Thursday.
Yes. So thank you guys so much.
'Cause
You've
I'm
been an
insane.
amazing audience. Thanks for hanging out with us and talking about one of our favorite movies and one of our favorite directors and wearing a shirt that represents it. Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming.
Yes, so that is our show. You people sit tight, hold the fort, and keep the home's fires burning. And if we're not back by dawn, call the president.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we're dorks too.
Strange Eons Radio is artisanal quality podcasting, handcrafted with all natural ingredients, and edited to perfection by Eric Margaret. Our blistering theme song is Strange Eons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you enjoyed this episode, please consider dropping a positive review on Apple Podcasts.
What was I doing? Why?